Hello, Hockey Nation Live fans. This is STRIATIC with a Kraken training camp recap and early preseason report recorded on September 28th for the Hockey Nation Live Network. We're going to talk about how training camp ended, the first two preseason games, and Shane Wright's debut as a Seattle Kraken. So we last talked on September 24th, where I gave a recap on how well Shane Wright's training camp had ended and how well training camp had gone for the team overall. Shane Wright struggled a bit on Monday and Tuesday and had some personal frustrations, but he ended up redeeming himself on the Thursday and Friday. He had two excellent days after a relaxing media day on Wednesday, where he made some fun videos that he seemed to have a lot of fun making. And on Thursday, he ended up potting a net side one-timer that I had seen frustrated him on Tuesday, and then went on to make some great defensive plays in scrimmage and ultimately getting the game-winning goal for his team with around 10 seconds left. An absolute laser disguised released 1-inch punch shot over the shoulder of Philip Grubauer. The Kraken fans in attendance were very happy to see that elite shooting talent on display, as well as a little bit of clutch ability. Of course, it was only a preseason scrimmage. After the scrimmage, there was a bag skate and then an autograph signing. Shane Wright went out of his way to sprint back to the locker room to grab a stick, and as reported by RJ of Emerald City Hockey, brought it back for the fan, signed it, and they both seemed incredibly happy to have met each other. I know that fan was down on the glass while training camp, and I bet he was probably noticed by some of the players. He was having a lot of fun. So that there was another day of camp on Sunday, and then two preseason games on Monday and Tuesday. So let's talk a little about those games. So let's talk about Game 1 versus the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers brought an AHL-heavy roster to Climate Pledge Arena, although they did have Kyler Yamamoto, Derek Roy, and Tyson Barrie suited up. Derek Roy and Kyler Yamamoto are both from Washington, so it made sense for them to join the Oilers on this trip to the Evergreen State. It took a little while for the Kraken, and the Oilers for that matter, to shake the rust off. There were very few shots on goal in the first period, but Matty Beniers opened the scoring with a beautiful goal where he corralled a kind of an errant pass from his backhand to his forehand in an instantaneous motion and shot a laser into, I think, the only square inch of available net left by Olivier Rodrigue. It was beautiful. That kind of got the Kraken onto a bit of a roll, and goalie Joey Decord got an assist on the second goal. A long stretch pass to Ryan Donato, which he bobbled with a little bit under defensive pressure, but managed to work into a wraparound goal. It was very exciting. Lastly, we had a goal on the penalty kill from Morgan Geekie, who struggled a bit last year, assisted by Brandon Tanev. The penalty kill definitely was a point of strength. As part of the shutout, they had to stop the Oilers on numerous power play opportunities, and that they did. The game also included the Seattle Kraken's first ever suspension. Jacob Melanson with a hit to the head on James Hamblin on the Oilers. There was a 5-minute penalty, and later he was given a 2-game suspension. It was a pretty reckless hit, very dangerous, and the suspension was well-deserved. Of note, players who didn't score, I would say Oliver Bjorkstrand probably had the best game of the non-point scorers. He looked very dangerous on the power play. Unfortunately, the power play was stifled a bit by trying to feed Matty Beniers a little bit too predictably for his one-timer. He'd been working on that in training camp, and he does have a wonderful one-timer. He ended up really doing some serious damage to two Edmonton Oilers defensemen, Philip Broberg, and I forget the other one, but he really nailed them while they blocked that one-timer. But the Oilers kind of figured it out, and just shutting down that one-timer kind of shut down the power play. So they need to develop some more unpredictability in their looks. Improving the power play is incredibly important for this team, which struggled with it greatly last season. So let's move on to the second game on Tuesday versus the Calgary Flames, where Shane Wright made his Kraken debut. Again, scoring was slow to come to this game. Some Kraken players shaking off rust, as well as even with AHL personnel, that Sutter defense, that neutral zone defense, was definitely in effect and frustrating the Kraken early. But they were patient, and eventually we ended up with a shorthanded goal from Jaden Schwartz and Jared McCann, who showed tremendous chemistry working that 2-on-1 on the penalty kill. That was the Kraken's second shorthanded goal in 2 games, and the penalty kill definitely looks like a point of strength for this team, including Carson Coleman, who looked just fantastic, incredibly speedy through the neutral zone 5-on-5, and on the PK, using his speed to be incredibly disruptive. He's definitely doing his part to win a job on the team this year. He has some competition in Cole Lind, who had some great possession metrics, but I think that Coleman's penalty-killing prowess might be the deciding factor on who gets a right-wing roster spot or not. Or maybe both make it, who knows. And probably only room for one, though. We had, again, some difficulties on the power play. The team went with an unorthodox strategy where they had Jared McCann and Shane Wright on the wings, and both of them were kind of like on their correct side, which means they didn't have a one-timer to work, and no easy one-timer. So they were trying some more high-low looks. It ended up with Vince Dunn carrying the puck a lot, and he's shown increased speed, but on the power play with the defense, alert and ready, he wasn't really able to leverage that speed to look too dangerous. But later, 5-on-5, he kind of went around the world behind the Calgary net, and with his tremendous speed, caught the Calgary defense sleeping and threw a shot to the slot, which Daniel Sprong just absolutely ripped into the net. That guy's shooting talent is fantastic. It's definitely NHL level. It would be a shame if some team did not sign this guy. That shot is too beautiful to be wasted in the AHL, in my opinion. But I'm a little biased. I'm a big Daniel Sprong fan. Back to the power play. They did try to set up Shane Wright's power wrist shot. He requires a little bit of forward momentum to get it off, so that makes it a little bit hard to set off on the power play. They did manage to get him to do it once. It didn't go in, obviously, but I would look to see them try to do that more. It takes a little bit of setup because he needs that forward momentum to make it work. Got to talk about Shane Wright's performance overall. His possession stats were excellent. Of course, these were bolstered by the fact that he had a lot of offensive zone starts. He had 2 very capable wingers in Jaden Schwartz and Jordan Eberle. And his power play time. But even 5-on-5, he was second on the team in chances for percentage, and was top 5 in high danger chance percentage. He just plays a really safe game, almost like a game manager out there. Doesn't make any wrong moves and waits for his opportunities to get off his excellent shot or make a good play. I think that bodes well for him making the team, potentially in a third line role, just very safe. And I could see him getting the coach's confidence very quickly. We need to talk a little bit about the goaltending. Obviously not a lot of finishing talent for the opposition in either games, but the Kraken didn't allow any goals. I would say that Grubauer looked the most shaky of the goalies. Martin Jones really impressed in game 1. And Joey Daccord, of course, had that assist. So that's a feather in his cap. Magnus Hellberg looked resplendent. He has a beautiful set of pads, blockers and gloves, and mask. If you're into goalie equipment, go check this guy's kit out. It is fantastic. And his game was as solid as his drip. He has a really big frame, and he just needed to be solid in net given the lack of finishing talent on the Flames. That he was. And his half of the game was a shutout as well. So impressed with what Ron Francis has done to make sure that the goaltending depth is solid. Look good so far. All right, so I think that's it for my report. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be doing another couple reports on the Kraken as the preseason ends and the season begins. And yeah, thanks for watching.